Dust blew hard across the empty plains of Red Bluff when Elena Dawson stepped down from the stagecoach, clutching a worn leather bag and a letter that had already changed her life. The town looked smaller than she imagined one long dirt street. A saloon, a church, and the sheriff's office leaning like an old drunk. But she wasn't here for beauty. She was here for the truth. The letter she carried was from her late father, written 3 days before his death. If anything happens to me, he wrote, go to Red Bluff and find a rancher named Aaron Creed. Whatever he tells you, believe him. And then the strangest line of all, tell him, you shave, God will kill you. He will understand. Elena had repeated that sentence 1,000 times, trying to figure out whether it was a warning, a secret, or some madness, her father whispered on his deathbed. But she never imagined the storm it would unleash. When she reached the Creed ranch, the sun was setting bleeding red across the sky like a wound. Aaron Creed was standing by the corral, tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that hung like a mane and a beard so thick it shadowed his whole face. He looked like a man carved out of rock solid, silent, unmovable. Mr. Creed, Elena called. He turned slowly, his eyes narrowing. Who's asking? Elena Dawson, she said, steadying her breath. My father sent me, he said. He said I should tell you something. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. She swallowed hard. He said, you shave, God will kill you? Aaron's expression cracked her just for a split second. Not fear, not surprise. Something deeper. Something like heartbreak. Come inside, he said quietly. We need to talk. Inside the old wooden cabin, Aaron lit a lantern and poured her a cup of water, hands trembling slightly. He sat across from her, heavy with secrets. I ain't heard those words in 20 years, he said. Back when your PA and I were young, back when we were stupid. What does it mean? Elena asked. He took a long breath. It was a curse, he said. A curse we brought on ourselves. 2 decades ago, Red Bluff had been ruled by a gang of miners who controlled the town with fear and bullets. Erin and her father Michael Dosnor, best friends, inseparable since boyhood, and they both loved the same woman. Lydia, beautiful, wild, and too kind for the world they lived in. One night, the miners kidnapped her, demanding land rights from Michael's father. When Michael and Aaron tried to rescue her, a gunfight broke out. Lydia was shot while shielding the 2 men from a bullet. She died in their arms before dawn. But before she died, she placed her hand on Aaron's cheek and whispered, promise me you'll never shave this beard. It's how I'll know you when God brings us together again. Aaron had carved that promise into his heart, and Michael, shattered with guilt, swore to keep the secret forever. Elena felt her breath tighten. So, my father, he protected that promise all these years. Aaron nodded. He knew if anyone ever told me different, I might break. But why the curse? Why say, God will kill you? Because, Aaron said softly, your PA knew I'd never keep the promise for my own sake. Only for hers. Elena looked at Hema, man still carrying a dead woman. Love like a weight around his neck. And suddenly, she understood why her father sent her. Aaron wasn't cursed. He was trapped, and he'd been alone ever since. Outside, the wind howled like something grieving. Aaron, Elena whispered, you don't need to live in the past anymore. Lydia wouldn't want that. You didn't know her. But I know heartbreak, she said, and I know what loneliness feels like. My father wrote that you would help me, but I think he hoped I might help you too. For a long moment, he stared at her, jaw tight, emotions fighting behind his eyes. Elena, I ain't shaved in 20 years, he said. Not because I believe in curses, but because it was the last thing she ever asked of me. Keeping a promise doesn't mean killing the rest of your life, she said gently. Silence hung heavy in the room. Then, with a slow, painful motion nas, if cutting away a piece of his solar and stood, opened a drawer, and pulled out an old steel razor. The whole town felt the shift. People looked out windows. Horses paced nervously. Even the church bell swung, though no one touched it. Inside the cabin! Aaron Creed looked at Elena one last time. "You sure about this?" he whispered. "Yes," she said, "because my father didn't send me to remind you of death. He sent me to give you a chance at life." With a deep breath, Aaron lifted the razor. Stroke by stroke, his wild beard fell to the floor. No thunder, no lightning, no curse. Just a man, finally letting go. When he finished, he exhaled shakily. "Well, I'm still alive." Elena smiled softly. "Good! Because your life isn't meant to end. It's meant to begin." And in that moment, when he saw her looking at him not as a cursed man, not as a ghost of the past, but as someone worthy of love, the whole town felt it. Not fear, not death, a rebirth. Red Bluff would talk about that night for years. How the rancher, who never shaved, finally did. How the earth didn't swallow him. How a stranger came to town and gave a broken man a reason to breathe again. And how love quiet, patient, and unexpected shook the whole town.